So welcome everybody to this session. I'm just going to quickly introduce who I have with me. I'm Meredith Herman. I lead a marketing acceleration team at Kenvue. And we have with us Field, who is the CEO and co-founder of Iris TV. We have Lisa, who's the Chief Transformation Officer and Global Client Lead and Connected Commerce Media. She has our longest title here today. Stan as a GM of Measurement and InMarket, and Seth Walters, Head of TV Sales at Scripps. So we have the client, and then we have really a diverse group of measurement, platform, agency, right? So it's a lot of different perspectives that I really wanted to take advantage of. And I know today, and not just today, but all week, we've been hearing about the complexities and challenges and opportunities that are presented with us from AI, and this focuses on media. So I just wanted to start and ask the team here, the group, help us look behind the curtain. We've heard a lot this week, but help us, really go inside your organization and then peek behind the curtain and tell us, what are you talking about? What opportunities do you see? If these guys wrote one thing down that they take home, what would you say that should be? What are the opportunities you're seeing?
Well, I'm excited to see what Lisa's hearing from clients. But GEO, generative engine optimization, is coming up all the time. And I think, importantly, also kind of back to fundamentals on awareness. We're hearing a lot of clients now that there's just so many channels, so much fracturization, the importance of CTV and a big focus on where people are actually spending their time, which we often forget, but it's over 2 hours a day on streaming TV. It happens to be larger than social media in the US, but still it's a smaller amount of investment for brands. So I think that kind of optimization and just figuring out how to drive reach and use data and tools to do so, we're hearing a lot of insight coming out of that. That just, reach is not what people expected they were getting, especially as they shift TV budgets into streaming TV.
Great, thanks. Lisa, you want to help?
I'm greedy, so I'm not going to say one thing. I'm going to say two things. So the first thing is human intelligence is part of artificial intelligence, so human in the loop. And the second thing is moving from a mindset of deliverables and making things go faster to just deliver something versus enabling us to make faster, more intelligent decisions.
Great.
Yeah, I would say something similar. I'm kind of happy that this panel is on Thursday because it gave me the week to kind of absorb all the conversations that we've been having up and down the cassette this week. And I would say that, we came into this week with a focus on speed and saving, so workflow automation, commercial automation. But beyond that, I think there's a greater opportunity now for creativity and for innovation beyond just how to do things more easily and more intelligent. So it's really about intelligence that feeds into what we're doing with AI to improve the outcomes for our clients and our business overall.
Nice. Stan?
Yeah, it's kind of just agreeing with the fellow panelists here, but it's been all about creativity and accelerating that creativity. And not only that, but the actionability behind the creativity. So how do we make sure that creativity comes in, we can quickly get the reads on it, have the human in the loop, and then have the best possible outcomes we can.
So I'm hearing human in the loop. I'm hearing a bit of process and creativity. So I'm gonna build on the creativity point because we are at Cannes, and I think one of the fears is that this is going to automate and kind of have a sea of sameness. All right, and maybe normalize instead of having those spikes of opportunity for brands. So let's talk about creativity and the use of AI, and we want to make sure that's a real tension we're hearing leading up to Cannes. Can you give us a tangible example from your perspective, whether it's measurement, data, agency, on where you're seeing the creative possibilities? And maybe just a little bit of what it takes to make that happen, right? I mean, we might see the possibilities, but, I think a lot of where we are is around efficiency versus the effectiveness. So what is it taking to unleash that creativity?
So for me, it's about how you define creativity. I've come on a very zigzaggy path throughout my career where I've been in data, I've been client side, I've been in investment. Creativity comes from using data and AI to understand the business problem better. Data drives creativity, and what it enables you to do is unlock the why and shift from facts to insights so that you can deliver greater creativity. And then you add that human over the top to ensure that you're not investing in a hallucination, and you get to a really much better place.
And Lisa, do you feel like you're spending more time there really talking about, because I work with publicists in Spark Foundry, and I know one of the things is looking at data versus pulling out insights and really mining that data to uncover what's unique, because I think that is the pop here. Tell us about the time your team is spending. Is there anything you...
So I work across a lot of portfolios of business. One of the areas I work in is QSR, and I leveled it up to find insights behind a business problem. So I took data that would previously have taken months to collate, looking at delivery and offers across the whole of the US by DMA, by franchisee, and I enabled that to then be pulled and built by each franchise to give them messages for what they need to do in market. That enabled us to then free up the time to think about, rather than just spending more on media, maybe you could do something much more local. So for example, in a particular week, the AI ran, it pulled out all those offers and enabled me to identify that in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Bojangles was going out of market with their offer. So I was able to then say to one of my clients, let's tailor an offer for there. Let's not necessarily spend media there. Let's maybe just get some students to drop some leaflets and think a little bit differently. So it's not necessary. I'm not necessarily building you a creative idea from a perspective of the creative that will run, because we can do that too. But I think what it enables us to do is to shift from solving problems in media, solving problems in process, and take it to the next level to solve business problems and think a little bit differently.
Yeah, really shifting those resources to unlock the next level thinking.
Yes.
And Field, how about you from a data perspective? How are you seeing this evolve?
Well, I think the AI tools are obviously helping everyone in the process, but the best ideas are going to come from people, like original concepts, and so many brands, everyone knows their audience, who they're trying to reach. What we find is that there's a lack of data in terms of understanding where your creative is going to get placed. And we focus on this at streaming. So at Iris TV, it's just data around contextual. Our technology, the Iris ID, is the backbone for most of the players in the contextual and emotional targeting space in CTV. But the most interesting thing that we're looking at right now is attention data. Okay. The company that acquired Iris TV, Viant, recently acquired TVision. So for those of you that don't know TVision, it's a panel, it's 15,000 people in the US, it's like Nielsen, except they also have a camera that actually watches people watching TV. So they opt into it, and you know what the attention score is. So they're the backbone actually of all the attention data in the market, whether it's Double Verify or Adelaide, it's all actually TVision data for CTV. And what we're finding is that the mix of budget of where people are investing is really misaligned from where they're actually getting attention. And by attention, we just mean, not looking at your phone. I didn't get up to go to the bathroom. I'm actually staring at the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm actually in the room.
Right, engaged, loving that content, right?
Turns out that, a good score is about 55%, meaning that,
wow, that's a lot lower than
45% of the, kind of purchased impressions, there's no one in the room. So that's really interesting data, and there's a big mix of investment that's obviously going to YouTube. They're the biggest player in CTV. We find that they tend to have the lowest attention scores, which also, isn't surprising, I think, when you think about a lot of your viewing behavior. So we're spending a lot of time looking at ACPM, so attention-based CPM, and where is that mix of investment going? What channel are you investing in, and what is the attention that you're getting? Because it actually creates big optimization opportunities around MMM.
Yeah.
People are looking at their channel mix, and so that's kind of often where we're seeing kind of a big arbitrage opportunities for really big brands.
And so do you see people starting to think about that as negotiating tactics versus just observatory?
Right now, it's all about channel mix.
Okay.
So we were looking at one of the largest CPG brands yesterday, and we found that, kind of comparative to their investment, where their highest attention scores are, they're actually investing like 1% of their budget.
Got it.
So
very actionable optimization opportunities.
by content owner, right?
And then if you layer it on something like an enoki or a curve, you can then take that and make that even more contextually relevant as well, so that you are not only looking at what Field's looking at in terms of attention, but also the context and the quality of the content that you're in, and then serve the creative that is actually the most relevant to the person that's watching and engaging.
Yeah, we're actually working with one of those companies for our local news feeds. And the interesting thing is that we went into that partnership with the intent to try to create more brand safe environments or adjacencies for news. But because we're also a local broadcaster in the US and we have stations in 60 stations in 40 markets around the country, and we're dealing with small businesses, we actually found that the greater upside for those small businesses isn't necessarily aligning with specific brand safe news, but more so aligning towards adjacencies to particular segments within the news. So like if there was the ability to understand that, you know, there are car accidents that occur in news. We can't predict when they're going to happen, but we know that they happen often. You know, that's a perfect adjacency for a personal injury attorney or a local insurance provider to run next to that message in the news. And so they can create more specific creative messaging to align with those particular environments, and we're seeing the impact from it and in that adjacency and reaching people at the right time when they're watching those types of
And Stan, I'll throw it over to you. Any builds on from a creativity standpoint for the market?
Yeah. I think being on the measurement side, so focused on the outcome part of it, something that we've seen in most recent times even accelerating, is with AI being looped in on helping support the creativity, probably accelerating at 10x. But there's also now a demand to have those decisions and the database decisions faster. So a lot of our clients are also in the QSR space, and they're demanding faster and faster results. They want to see results 2-3 times a week to see which creatives are working, which ones aren't. And the way they're determining working has to do not just with the conversions of did that exposure of the creative drive someone to the store or show that the person with that actually went to the store, but also was it incremental? So did the marketing actually do effectiveness to drive the incremental outcome? So we're seeing on the decision end of it really an acceleration too, and demand for, I need to know which creatives are working at a very granular level very fast.
Yeah, working in QSR, we did work with InMarket that we published last year with Carl's Jr. And I just love to call this case study out because it's hilarious. But
Hilarious.
Yeah, the Carl's Jr. Audience, if you don't know, very different Hardee's. They used to buy nationally. So Hardee's, more of a family restaurant, Midwest. Carl's Jr., more of kind of a younger skewing audience. Like 25% of all of the locations are in Los Angeles. And they know their audience, and I love to call a big part of it the stoner demographic. We were able to target them watching anime and video games, and getting them to go out and buy burgers and fries when they're high. And it was very effective, and we proved it out with InMarket that it was actually something that you could learn from in the course of a campaign and actually see what's working. Because the contextual signals that you'll think sometimes will work for a creative message are not very obvious. So we learned for TurboTax that it was actually pets and crime that actually was driving people to download tax software. I don't know why, but it was not the endemic signals that you would estimate.
All right. So what I'm hearing is a lot of data that's actually useful, insightful, actionable, and differentiating that they can activate on to drive their business. And I think we just heard Mars talk about personalization at scale. I think we've all know we've got reams of data, but it's starting to be able to be monetized, I guess, for brands and business. So I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about the human factor of leading through this change, because I think there's a lot of dynamics and the pace and kind of the separation you're seeing from traditional marketing, LLMs, as we talk about GEO, and then the mass marketing and how rapid this is happening. What type of leaders will be successful with this change? And what skills, as you interview your teams or look to expand, in this marketplace, do you seek and seek out? Lisa, do you want to start?
Sure. For me, it's coding is no longer the secret sauce. It's curiosity versus coding. and having the ability to really get under the skin of what the business problem is and what the problem you're trying to solve is. So with my teams, I encourage them to, one, train themselves every day in prompt engineering. Don't worry about if you're getting it wrong. Keep doing it. Keep trying every day. And we've been doing courses every week, twice a week.
That's amazing.
That's pretty intense.
Who leads the courses? Is it internal or?
It might be me. We have a lot of tools on our internal systems. I can't take credit for. We've also partnered with LinkedIn that sits on our Marcel platform that has a lot of those kinds of AI tools as well. But we encourage people to come, bring a problem, and we'll sit together and we do almost like office hours where we sit every office 9:30 to 10:30 on a Monday and a Friday. It's time for AI, and we go in and we sit and we brainstorm and we work through things, and it gets us to a better place.
That feels like an intimate time sitting together when you have such a large organization and moving people forward. How are you balancing the nurturing that has to happen versus the aggressive pace that you need to move at?
So we have the online modules that people can use, and then we also I have a SWAT team that I've built based on the people that have been the most curious, and that team every week expands because I get another hand raiser, right? To lean in. And what we do is those office hours, obviously I'm not doing them this week because I'm here, but I've got a backup team that's in the office. In every office we've got, so there are people in every office in person, as well as having an open Teams link where we can then brainstorm the concepts of what does a good prompt look like? How are we going to then evolve this further? And what's happening is you're seeing cross-functional teams like the Kenvue team working with the LinkedIn team or working with different clients that are not even in the same industries, because you start to find parallels of what to solve. But then the thing that underpins all of that, again, is the being human. And I encourage everybody to ask why 3 times before they then put pen to paper, as it were, because that's when you get to the insight versus the fact.
Right.
And understanding the human behavior behind it. And if you can get behind that human behavior, then you have something even better to then put into your next prompt and build your solution even further.
Yeah, I hear that. Seth, do you want to build on?
I started my career as a media planner, and we were talking about this a little bit backstage around how I was trained in media math and how to read research in order to make these decisions. And I was asking if they still train assistant media planners the same way, and they do.
Right.
And I think that's a good thing because they need to have a certain foundational layer of understanding of this information. But I think the next phase of leaders are people who are going to be able to harness the speed at which that information comes to them and make quick decisions, learn from those decisions, fix the problems, and work with partners like us, and partners like InMarket and Iris to be able to think big picture and bigger picture, 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, about how and what we can do with all of the increased speed that we have in terms of being able to conduct our business, and use that to maximize, again, the performance of the campaigns, or better prepare our brands for wherever they're trying to accomplish in the future.
And Stan, how about you? How is InMarket thinking about it?
Yeah, it's really evolved very rapidly. Our founder, of course, is a tech company leader, and he decided that once a month there's AI Day. So for one day a month, you do not do regular work. You just pick your project that could be within your function, your team, cross-functionally. And everyone has a Claude license, so hundreds of employees have Claude licenses for Claude co-work with tokens. If you need more tokens, not a problem. But just try to figure out how to solve, how do we service our customers the best? How do we make things go faster? How do we make things go smoother? And we're always looking now for, when we hire, it's like AI first, like are you AI ready? And then the rest of the qualifications come in after that.
Dedicating time, right? Making it a priority. How about you, Field?
AI is here to stay, right? It's an important tool, but we're honestly spending a lot of time. I think one of the most exciting things right now is the shift out of dashboards to being able to actually interact with data. So for those of you that are familiar with products like Databricks and others, and the ability to actually kind of access data and chat with it, right? And we built tools like that at Viant, and honestly, every agency will now, right? Every measurement company will. But I think it comes back to people, spending time with people who are expert in the channels that really know how to drive your business forward, and just fundamentals of media, right? I think that kind of you don't want to get lost in kind of these new tools like GEO as something that you need to push full on into. It's part of the business that is important for demand capture, but the fundamentals of media go back to actually demand generation and awareness, and that's kind of where we're just kind of having a lot of conversations that still just go back to improving the fundamentals of media.
Yeah, I love the points around, you still need to know the basics, right? So that you're still training on those media fundamentals, and that this is increasing the pace and need for faster decision making. A lot of Kenvue, we need to be vulnerable in order to, for everybody to feel like we're all going through this learning journey. There's nobody that knows it all. But highly accountable as we move things to our partners. We still need to have accountability on what's happening, be knowledgeable so that base knowledge never goes away, to be able to lead across teams this way. So a lot of your themes that really resonate. And then carving out the time. Oh my gosh, nobody has more time, but this is the promise to optimize, right, the marketer experience.
And what I say to people is, just give me 5 minutes and I will change your life. Because if you just...
Big promises.
It's an hour. No, it's true.
Lisa.
I'm telling you, we are getting amazing feedback because we have all these modules that we've built. And I say, just take, they're very bite-sized modules, and you can sit there, you can do an 8-minute one, you can do a 10-minute one. But without a shadow of a doubt, every single person that comes and does one or does it online, they come to me and they say, oh my goodness, now I'm doing this differently. And then they'll come to me a week later and say, oh, I hadn't thought about solving things in this way before.
Right.
And that runs the gambit from the most junior people right the way up to the C-suite. And it's really
They can
helping.
really see the tangible impact on their work, right? They can see what's different.
I think you have to relearn what you know for people who are taking taking the time and investing in evolving how they approach their work. I used to run an agency that was focused on audience. I hate targeting in ad campaigns now. I much prefer where we're going to go in the future, where campaigns will maybe you anti-target. So if it's someone who's in home services and you don't want to reach people who don't own the home. But beyond that, you don't want to create too many layers that prevent the campaigns from scaling. And as we start to automate more towards outcomes and results, I think there's a greater opportunity for us to kind of take our hands off on some of the things that we've influenced in the future and allow the sauce to simmer and at some point then start to make the tweaks and pull the levers. So it's really interesting for everyone that touches some part of the operational workflow in media that they can reimagine and rethink what they know and start and approach things a little bit differently.
I just one point on that. I think we all have overemphasized audiences, identity, a bit too much over the last decade. And we're hearing that from the biggest brand marketers. Look, you have to reach your audience.
Disagree.
Huh?
Completely disagree.
And it just completely disagree?
Yeah, I mean, for me, understanding the audiences and understanding connected identity is still going to be the data spine that enables us to do everything that we're going to do. Well, you have to have that insight of the consumer in order to be able to drive the best engagement and the most relevance. And so I don't think that goes away. That just becomes the foundation. And that's why, Publicis acquired Epsilon many years ago now, that enables us to understand consumers. Even if you don't have your own first-party data, we can help you to understand your consumer, how they transact, where they are. That becomes the baseline. Then you build on top of that in terms of the insights, the skills, the agents that enable you to then understand where to find them, you might be able to do it quicker in some cases, but most importantly, it's not about quicker, it's about better. It's about more relevance.
You still have to plan, obviously, targeting audiences, but TruthSet has found that 60% of the identity data that we buy in media plans happens to be completely inaccurate across all providers, everyone. The data is just not accurate.
Then you're not connecting it correctly. That's the reality. Where it gets really, really rich is where you take a client's first-party data, you bring that into the clean room, and we're doing that, right? And you bring together the transactional data, the third-party data, and that's when you deduplicate it and you bring it together, that's when you know who that human is. again, human at the center of it. Once you know who that human is, it enables you to then build on that data. So we're not finding that, yes, there is data that is terrible out there, but that's why you build a clean room and that's why you bring it together in order to make it work together.
I think the data sets here, again,
We've been friends for years, and now we're having
I'm going to move us on because we could have this data debate all day, right?
The claims of match rates versus the reality, we're all investing tons of money. Is everyone's sales going up in proportion to the investments they're making in that data? They should be, right? And I think just a fundamental back to media practice, if you're running a QSR and you operate in certain regions, do you really need to do identity targeting, or should you just do geo-targeting around your stores and make sure your brand messaging is relevant at the right moment? I mean, there's real arguments here that come back to cost and ROI.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, a lot of QSRs, right? Sorry. A lot of QSRs right now, like, it's not great business right now. We've got some growth on some of the brands that we're working with, but just buying national and just buying the traditional, everybody has a mouth and therefore everybody will eat QSR. That would be the same as saying everybody's got skin, so let's target them with Neutrogena. We wouldn't do that.
Everybody's got a stomach, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to move us on because
5 minutes to change everybody's liking.
So we know we're early days here in the world of AI. I know from a media standpoint, it's been happening for quite some time. It was pretty much the first place people started to go to be able to turn that over their agency, right? And say, hey, drive the growth, drive that pilot, scale that pilot. And show me the money, right? Like we're talking about. But where should a brand revisit automation and media decisioning? I get a little scared when we automate everything. And so tell me, like, what percent's automated today? Where should a client say, hey, pull back, this isn't. Help me right size it.
I could jump in.
I'm gonna start with Stan. Go ahead. Stan, you jump in. And then Seth, I want to hear from you next.
So one of the things I would bring up is just a couple of data facts, right? So InMarket just released a report in June that was really insightful. It said that only about 22% of measurement outcomes, right? So my business is measurement, of measurement gets used to go back and re-optimize the campaign. Some of the issues there is it's not like nobody wants to do it, but 46% of advertisers would say they just don't have it's too siloed. 40% would say there's not enough resources to go do the optimizations that are needed. And I think that's where the AI can really help, is do those optimizations, break down the silos. There still needs to be a human in the loop, but this is a problem that's going to get bigger and bigger as the AI accelerates on the deployment level, on the execution side, because now you're going to have more audiences, more creatives, and if you're only activating or optimizing the decision layer on 22% of the measurement reports, you're going to have a whole lot of stuff coming through that's not working, and potentially it might make the business not perform as well, or as the marketing not perform as well. So I think, like Lisa said, there always needs to be a human in the loop, but it's really important that flywheel of decision-making and execution need to come together.
Seth, go ahead.
Yeah. Look, I think this is still early. It's very early. There was a report also by eMarketer that said that by 2028, about 25% of programmatic decisioning would be made via AI agentic buying tools. I'm not sure that I necessarily buy that, but it penetrates every aspect of what we do at Scripps as a publisher, whether it's how we approach clipping our news articles, how we enhance what we air in sports with better graphics on the screen, how we impact our go-to-market when we're talking to advertisers to be more informed sellers and partners, I should say, when we're working with them. So I don't know that anybody should necessarily pull back, but just as with everything, we have to learn and figure out what works and what doesn't and optimize.
And clients being heavily involved in that, that learning journey.
We are seeing reciprocal, relationship.
Collaboration and learning together. Go ahead, Lisa.
Well, and I think it comes back to, again, that data being connected, right? Because otherwise you end up optimizing to the wrong metrics. Not everything that we do in marketing has one objective. There's an emotional engagement. There's a sales engagement. If we just optimize to just the lower funnel, yeah, you can automate all of that. But humans are humans. And that, again, it comes back to having the human in the loop. If you look at your MMMs and you look at like if you optimize just to the last click or the last touch, we still, unless that is in a clean room, you still have a situation where you've got walled gardens that are going to tell you, oh, look, you bought advertising from me. It did great. They bought it on my platform. Oh, it must have been because of that. But they forget the fact that you were doing all these other things over here with a great activation and experience and engagement. So yes, of course, automation, but still with that human in the loop understanding why things were on the plan in the first place. So I go back to that 3 whys again. Why was it on the plan? What was the job it was trying to achieve? And therefore, why should we continue doing it or not doing it? Sometimes it's about stopping doing things, not just starting doing things. And more is not always more.
All right, so we have 1 minute left. So we'll just do a quick lightning round of over, under. What's one thing that's either been overhyped, you heard this week, or one thing that's been underhyped that you think we're not paying enough attention to? Field, I'll start with you. We'll just go right down. Over or under?
Okay,
one word, over or under, and then your thing.
Anything recently?
Over, under, just one word.
Over or under is one word,
Okay,
and then
so
your thing.
Okay,
Two
so
words.
under integrated development environments and spec-driven design, this kind of new way of engineering. Over, I don't know.
I'm scared.
I'll have to come back. You go.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Over. I think we are over-indexed as an industry on how many jobs we're going to lose. You've heard Artur Sadoun say, we're not going to squeeze for the street. We're not going to do that. It's not about less people. It's about the right people in the right places.
Redeployed.
Under, I'm going to come back to.
Okay.
Over is any .ai email address. Overhyped, underhyped, and actually I'm going to do 2 overhyped. AI-driven layoffs. I tend to believe that that's overhyped a little bit. I think that what we're seeing in the market is more representative of increased hiring during COVID and lower interest rates and hiring as a result of that, looking for the right talent, not necessarily because AI is taking jobs.
Stan, bring us home. Over and under.
Bring you home. I'd say underhyped, definitely that actionability gap. The fact that all of this creativity is going to come in really fast and really hard. We have to be able to action it and make sure that it's hitting the KPIs like Lisa talked about. And I think overhyped, I would agree with everyone else that it's going to be like AI is going to take over the world. I think it'll make a lot of things a lot better. But we just have to understand like where things might bottleneck up and be ready for that part of it.
All right, thank you so much. We appreciate everybody's attention and passion for this subject.